Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ben and I'm a photographer and videographer based in North Wales. Today we're talking about two lenses from Fujifilm. One is the 23mm f2, which is attached to the X100V. The other is the XF 23mm RWR f2, which in my case is attached to the X-S10. This is not a completely scientific test. I do my best where I can. I've taken a ton of images with both of these lenses. I've gone through each and every one of them, pixel peeping to the extreme, and this is what I found. So let's get to it. So the very first thing that I noticed is field of view. The XF 23mm f2 actually seems to be a little bit wider than the 23mm on the X100V. Which one is actually more accurate? I have no idea, but it's just something that I noticed. Sharpness. So I took a load of images of my mum's rotary cutting board over there. I did my test images at f2, f2.8, f4, f5.6 and f8 on each of these lenses, and I did that focused in the center as well as focused in the corner. So straight off the bat I could see immediately the X100V was much sharper in the center, wide open at f2. But surprisingly, the XF 23mm at f2 was actually a little bit sharper when focused in the corner. Like I say, this is not a completely scientific test. There may be some elements of human error in there, but I did notice in other images as well, focused in the corner, that the X100V wasn't overly sharp compared to focusing in the center. So that was a bit weird. In terms of saturation and contrast, they are very similar really, but I would have to just about give the edge to the X100V. In terms of distortion, you will see quite a big difference. The X100V is barely noticeable, whether it's wide open or closed down to f8. The XF 23mm, on the other hand, you will definitely see some pincushion distortion. Remember, there is a slight discrepancy in field of view between these two lenses, so you're not actually seeing it quite as badly as you might do if the board was filling the frame a bit more. But as always, if you're on Lightroom, click that one button for the lens profile corrections, and it near enough sorts it out. Next up is vignetting. Again, this is far more pronounced on the XF 23mm f2. I mean far more pronounced. At f2, it is very dark in the corners compared to the centre, and you have to stop down past f4 towards f5.6 to actually get rid of it, which is quite surprising. On the X100V, on the other hand, you will see a bit of vignetting at f2, no surprise, but by the time you get to f2.8, it's disappeared, completely gone. Everyone's favourite topic, bokeh balls. Wide open, you will see much nicer, smoother bokeh balls coming from the X100V. The bokeh balls from the XF 23mm are far more distorted, and they're a lot rougher, grittier in the middle as well, and you will see some green aberrations around the edge as well. Also, the X100V's bokeh balls are much smoother throughout the aperture range, whereas on the XF 23mm, you will see those aperture blades as soon as you start stopping down from f2, and they are quite pronounced. Chromatic aberration is pretty well controlled on both of these lenses, to be fair. On the XF 23mm, you will see some green fringing from time to time, and on the X100V, you will see some purple fringing from time to time. Now, I had to really scour through my image library between these two lenses to actually find any examples of this. So in general, it is pretty well controlled, as is flaring in most cases. On the XF 23mm, you will see some noticeable blue flaring if you're shooting directly into harsh lighting, whereas with the X100V, you'll tend to see some more green flaring. I'm assuming that's just different coatings that are used between these two lenses, which determines what colour the flare is. In terms of focusing, they are very evenly matched. Bear in mind that both on the X100V and the XF23mm, which I'm using with the X-S10, these are both very new, very relevant cameras, both with up-to-date firmware. I've had no issues with focus between either of these cameras. I mean, they're not Sony, but still. In both single and continuous focus modes, whether I'm using face eye detection or not, they're both very snappy, very accurate. I've had very little issue with them. In terms of close focus distance, there is quite an advantage to the X100V. Using my very scientific testing, I was able to get 138mm away from my subject with the X100V, whereas on the XF23mm, I was only able to get 179mm away. I'm sure this has something to do with the flange distance from the sensor or something. I don't know. But I was measuring on each camera from the focal plane of the sensor rather than the lens. But that does mean that you're able to get much more interesting shots at times with the X100V, utilising that close focus. And at that distance, the X100V is far, far sharper as well. And just for the hell of it, video focus, again, they are very comparable. Really, I'm never going to be shooting any video on the X100V. That is not at all what I bought it for, but it did pretty well against the X-S10. The X100V was a little bit slow from close focus and tracking back again, but again, I'm never going to be using it for video. So, purely for photography, which of these two setups would I recommend? A couple more factors to start with. The XF23mm f2 RWR, that's been knocking around since September 2016, so it is a few years old now, and in my testing that is quite evident. Whereas the X100V was only released in February last year, 2020, before everything happened, and it is a brand new lens design for that X100 system, and like I say, it's quite evident. And in terms of pricing, these two combos are actually quite evenly matched. Brand new, the X100V will run you around £1,300. If you pick up a used one, you're probably looking at about £1,150. And brand new, the X-S10 runs for £900, and the XF23mm f2 will run you about £430, which gives you a total of £1,330. But if you go down the second-hand route, I managed to get the 23mm f2 for £360, and this X-S10 is brand new, but you can pick them up for around £850, which will bring you down closer to the £1,200 mark. So whether they're brand new or used, they are very similarly priced. So in my opinion, if you are completely new to Fujifilm and you really want to get into the Fujifilm system, you love shooting a 35mm focal length, I would still recommend the X100V. Like I say, it is a much more modern lens design, and I think my tests in this video kind of prove that really. However, if you're looking for a all-round camera system with interchangeable lenses, then I would still fully recommend this 23mm f2. I have to say that my main interest in the X-S10 is purely for video, vlogging, rather than photography, but over the last couple of weeks that I've had this combo, I have been shooting a lot of stills and I have been very much enjoying it. There is always the bigger brother to the 23mm f2, the 23mm f1.4, but I quite simply cannot afford to be splashing cash around like that just for a YouTube video. I don't make that much money on these videos. But this f2 is a really nice, small, lightweight lens, especially when you take the hood off. That is a very dainty little lens, and you're never going to run out of room in your camera bag to keep that. And that is partly why I chose the X-S10 for my vlogging camera. I'm mainly using it with the XF16mm f2.8, and that combination is so small, so lightweight, I can have it dangling off my bag strap or whatever, I barely notice it's there. And like I've said in the previous video, these tiny little f2 prime lenses were a big draw in bringing me to the Fujifilm system. So yeah, I'd say it's definitely worth the money. Definitely check out the second-hand market. I got a pretty good price on this one. And hey, if you're looking for one, drop a comment down below with a price and I might just sell you this one. But for me, the X100V is still king. I bought this camera purely as a go anywhere, never without it, daily shooter. And it's still filling that role and it's doing me very proud. So there we go. That's it for that video. I hope I didn't waffle on too long. I'll try and leave as many example images as I can in a Dropbox folder. I'll leave a link in the description down below. If you're interested in any of the gear that I've used in this video, I'll leave links for those down below as well. If you've got any questions or queries, or if you've got your own thoughts to share about any of these lenses or cameras, do leave a comment down below. I'll do my absolute best to get back to you. And of course, if you like this video, please do give it a like and hit subscribe if you want to see more Fujifilm content. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you might have learned something from it. And until the next one, be good, stay safe, get shooting, and I'll see you in the next video.